right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A lawsuit over lead.
The current regulation by EPA, you look it up online, is 10 micrograms per square foot on the floor, and this dust swab came back at 88.
Now, local coffee shop owners are taking their landlords to court.
Starting off cold and into single digits with a wind chill advisory this morning. That's all gone, and we're going to start to lose some of this really cold weather, but freezing rain, our next focus. We'll track that and talk about the slowest commute you'll have this week.
But first,
and now to find out that he's not even coming home, it's really rough and hard on us.
a man found dead in South City under unusual circumstances. Tonight, the victim's sister speaking only with 5 on Your Side. Want to thank you for joining us at 10 tonight. I'm Brent Solomon. Tonight, police investigating that man's death as a homicide more than 24 hours after fire crews found him. New at 10, 5 on Your Side's Annie Krall just finished speaking with the victim's sister in an interview you'll only see on 5 on Your Side. Fill us in, Annie.
Well, I talked to Rosalind Terry, the victim's sister, who learned about her brother's death yesterday morning. She says his name, Rion Robinson. Neighbors and local business owners tell us he was a familiar face on South Grand. A man found dead outside the Grand Medical Building on South Grand Boulevard Friday morning. Initially believed to have been caused by the frigid temperatures, St. Louis police now investigating as a homicide. Gunshot wounds were found on the body, leaving neighbors and local business owners confused. Known by many nicknames in the community, such as Nerf Guy, because of the Nerf gun he always carried around, he frequented the Domino's on South Grand, asking for messed up pizzas or staying to get warm. But employees say they didn't hear any gunshots on Friday.
It was kind of bittersweet because, like I said, it's one of the things to where, like, you really don't know him or know the backstory, but it's like he wasn't out here really, to my knowledge, bothering anybody or hurting anybody. Like, he used to walk around with his toy guns, like, that's about it. But as far as what he did outside or away from Domino's, I'm not sure, but he didn't bother none of the workers here.
One person who did know him well was Rosalind Terry. She knew him as Rion Robinson, her brother. Terry had been trying to get him to come home for 2 years and hadn't seen Rion in months, but knew he was homeless and tried to help.
Like, could you please come home? I said, come home. I said, I got an apartment. I'm never there. It's warm. You can take a bath, food there, whatever. Just please come home. And he would never come home. He just say, can you feed me and buy me some snacks? That's all. He wouldn't even ask for the money. He just said, feed me and buy me snacks.
The sister tells us police are saying he didn't die from the cold.
I mean, just leave him out there like that. You know, no coat, no shoes, no nothing, and just leave him out there. Like, why? You know, just look at it as it was one of your family members.
Now, as the investigation continues, the victim's sister says if you have any information about what happened to her brother, to please contact police. You can also contact Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. Brent?
Yes, that family needs answers. Annie, thank you. Let's turn now to your weather first forecast. The Arctic winds have calmed down a bit, but more winter weather is headed our way. Here's meteorologist Gary Frank now with the first look at the forecast.
Yeah, good evening, Brent. Overnight, still going to be cold. There's no doubt about that. You can go outside and tell right away. But the trend for us over the next 12 hours, or at least to improve close to the freezing mark right now as you look downtown, none of the cameras or trees really moving around, indicative of the fact that the wind is lighter, even though it's cold, right? I mean, we're getting on the colder side. 4 in Edwardsville, Muscuda at 8. It's 6 in O'Fallon. This is really no different than what we've been experiencing. It's 4 below in Kirksville, but it's all part of this high that's sitting here and calming us down. That's at least a positive. It will start to move out. Look at Wichita, Amarillo as an example. As we look off to the southwest, that's where warmer air is settling in. It's also bringing our next chance for rain, and freezing rain doesn't really feel all that much colder, although in Edwardsville we had that 5 below. And I think our numbers may feel like that overnight as temps continue to fall here into the overnight hours into the single digits and then hold pretty steady. Overall, though, we are going to see our next weather alert day. That's Monday morning. That's when we're going to see freezing rain move in with a light glaze of ice forming on cars, surfaces on the roads. But it's the morning commute that looks to be impacted. What you're going to see on Monday and when we're going to see improvement as we start the work week.
Sounds good. Now's a good time also to get the Weather First forecast to your phone. Text the word weather to 314-425-5355. Tonight, a former town and country police sergeant is facing multiple counts of child sex crimes, including incest. According to the Jefferson County Prosecutor's Office, Jordan Fowle abused 2 victims between August of 2012 and July of 2023. Police said both of them said that they feared retaliation from Fowle since he was a police officer and had access to guns and law enforcement databases. Fowle's attorney tells 5 on Your Side his client strongly denies the allegations. Tonight, a man who confessed to killing his ex-girlfriend is in St. Louis County custody now. Trenton Ivy says he killed Markeisha Williams last month. She was last seen with Ivy on December 20th. Police arrested him 3 days later in Wisconsin. Williams' body was later found in northern Illinois. Ivy appeared in court Friday before he was extradited. He's facing first-degree murder charges. 2 St. Louis coffee shop owners are suing their landlords after lead contamination forced them to close. Laura McNamara and her husband opened Brew Tulum in 2022 on Del Mar. Well, not long after, their 1-year-old son tested positive for lead. The couple got tested and found out their numbers were even higher. They say the source is the cafe, which had lead levels 9 times over what the EPA considers safe.
We spoke to, again, environmental experts, lawyers, our insurance broker, and everybody. The consensus was, no, this has to be cleaned up, and that's not okay, and it is the responsibility of the landlord. So I guess we walked into a situation where, financially, we're struggling.
McNamara says the building's landlords hired a cleaning company not certified to remove lead. Our partners at the St. Louis Business Journal spoke with an attorney for the building's owners, and they say a risk assessor found no hazards there. The port is still flooding in for a Defiance family who lost 2 young boys in a house fire. Friday, the Defiance Merchants Association started a GoFundMe to help raise money for the grieving family of Julian and Jamison Kaiser. They were 4 and 6. The page started off with just a few $100s that morning, but now it's reached well over $120,000. More than 1,800 people have donated, and right now, that fire is still under investigation. Well, dozens of dogs are now safe in St. Louis after being rescued from a Stone County property. The Humane Society of Missouri took in 55 dogs that were left outside in below freezing conditions there. When the dogs arrived, vets gave them food, water, and a place to sleep. The dogs are now getting treatment, which will help put them on the pathway towards a new home. Still, the Humane Society needs your help.
What we need most right now is people to adopt the available dogs we have, because that will get all of these guys comfortable. We also could use people volunteering to become fosters for us. We always have animals that need extra time that would be more comfortable for them, not in a shelter, to recover from illness or injuries.
Right now, the St. Louis shelter has more than 30 dogs, all in need of a home. Trump versus Nikki Haley. The former president's comments that has his Republican rival questioning his state of mind. He took a pill to help him sleep. Now he's behind bars. How a Missouri law put one man's Ambien defense to the test.
I'm sad, not just of what I caused, but what could have occurred, just like that.
Now to the race for the Republican nomination for president. Today, Nikki Haley unloaded on frontrunner Donald Trump's mental fitness.
When you see them hit a certain age, there is a decline. That's a fact. Ask any doctor. There is a decline.
Her attacks come after the former president seemed to repeatedly confuse Haley for Nancy Pelosi when talking about January 6th.
Because of lots of things, like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down. They don't want to talk about that.
But when you're dealing with the pressures of a presidency, we can't have someone else that we question whether they're mentally fit to do this. We can't.
Trump is striking back at Haley, garnering support from leaders of her home state in South Carolina. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis pulled out of appearances with NBC's Meet the Press and CNN's State of the Union. A source tells NBC News it's because of a last-minute schedule change. DeSantis is now traveling from South Carolina to New Hampshire on Sunday for a meet and greet event. That's tomorrow night.
Well, as we look outside of the southwest, that's where rain starts to settle in, but it's this system that gives us an opportunity for freezing rain when it arrives, and our main impacts to be felt coming up.
A local case is bringing attention to the potential side effects of Ambien. A man claims the drug made him hallucinate and become violent while unconscious. Our I-team learned a Missouri law made it difficult to keep him out of prison. 5 on Your Side's Christine Byers has more on the case.
Trent Swick went to bed after taking Zolpidem, the generic form of Ambien, on October 12, 2019.
The next thing he knows, he wakes up and he's in an orange jumpsuit in the Jefferson County Jail.
At some point after taking the pill and going to bed, Swick drove about 30 miles. He opened fire on 2 random cars along Highway 21, narrowly missing 5 people. His attorney, Neil Bruntrager, says his client told police he
believes that he's being chased by go-karts that are green go-karts that are being driven by what he describes as furries.
When it happened, Swick was an insurance executive and father of 3 with no criminal history, and he wasn't making sense to responding officers.
Their assumption was that he had either had too much to drink or that he had ingested some sort of narcotic.
A toxicology report shows Zolpidem was the only thing in his system. Here's Swick during an interview with the I-Team in December.
I'm sad, not just of what I caused, but what could have occurred, just like that.
Swick spent more than 2 months in jail and the rest of the 4 years it took to go to court on house arrest. Shortly before trial in late 2023, Swick pleaded guilty to felony charges. Why would he plead guilty?
There's no way in the world he could have understood that this drug would create this behavior for him. But under Missouri law, because he voluntarily took that pill, he can't make that claim.
And the court might not have let a jury hear the sleeping pill defense.
That would have been really unfortunate for someone who really had no idea what he was doing at the time.
Dr. William Newman is a forensic psychiatrist who reviewed Swick's case for the defense.
It was only his prescription Ambien that was confirmed in his system. And to my knowledge, there's not a published case like that in the United States.
Newman says he's consulted on other cases involving the sleeping pill defense.
One of the clear things to look for is whether there's what's called a rational ulterior motive, whether there's another explanation other than an Ambien-induced delirium that could explain the person's criminal actions.
In Swick's case,
there was no other explanation that I or seemingly anybody else could come up with as to why he would be doing that. A guy with no violent history, no criminal history, who would just wake up and suddenly decide to start shooting people.
Jefferson County prosecutors did not oppose probation, but a judge sentenced Swick to 7 years with an option for a 120-day drug treatment program. If he completes that program, he could be out in April, even though he only took a sleeping pill as it was prescribed. For the I-Team, Christine Byers, 5 on Your Side.
And if you have a tip for our I-Team, call 314-444-5231 or email tips@ksdk.com. All calls and correspondence are kept confidential. Meteorologist Gary Frank is back now with the Weather First forecast. I tell you what, all eyes on Monday, Gary.
Yeah, Monday morning, that's probably our most impactful of the next few days. Otherwise, it's going to get better than it has been, right? We've been really hammering the fact that it's cold and we want to take care of our friends and neighbors, pets and pipes, things of that nature. That's going to be in the past shortly, but still, it's cold outside right now. We started off at 2 today, and I think we're going to see a similar number tomorrow morning. We've avoided this really cold stuff, but as we look outside right now, it's still dipping down at 12 degrees. The wind's calm, though. That's the big key, so we don't have that wind wind chill that we had yesterday. We did get to 21 overall today. Tomorrow, I think we're going to improve quite a bit as temperatures are close to the freezing mark with a much lighter breeze, but we'll start to transition to clouds increasing in the second half of the day ahead of our next system. It's into the southwest, and that's where you're starting to see slightly warmer air. It's not much warmer, but it's warmer where it's at least going to get us into 2 digits and close to the freezing mark over the next few days. So let's start tomorrow at about the same time. 24 hours from now, our temps are in the mid-20s. We have plenty of cold air still, but it's improved. You'll notice that freezing rain in central Missouri, and that's what we're going to focus on as our temperatures may nudge up a degree or two. By 2 or 3 o'clock, we'll start to see that freezing rain increase, and then by Monday morning, I think most of us are dealing with some of it as we hover around the freezing mark or just below it. And that's going to be a big key for us, as I think it really slows things down as we get you to 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Widely scattered freezing rain, temperatures are close to the freezing mark. So how do we get freezing rain when temps are below freezing? Well, we have this warm layer of air that still stays below, and essentially these droplets become super cooled. Like if you've ever taken water out of your freezer and you shake it and all of a sudden it has that cloudy, you can watch it. That happened during the Chiefs game last week. But however, as it falls to the surface, it's going to create a coating of ice. And that's why between 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday to 12 o'clock, that light freezing drizzle begins. And temperatures are mostly below freezing. As that slow glaze of ice continues, we have that possibility for a slow commute. Now, ice accumulation, look at this and say, well, what exactly does 1/10 of an inch of ice mean, right? I don't equate this to very much, but I want to show you this before I show you this specifically. If we have less than 1/4 of an inch of ice, usually it's cars, trees glazed over, and I think we're going to see that specifically. There's just going to be icy bridges, slick roads. It will slow you down overall, but watch as temperatures start to come up in the afternoon. I don't think we have this problem the second half of the day. Overall, though, it will be 37 for the first half of the afternoon there. And then we're going to continue to stay above freezing overall. And we're actually going to talk about a rainy week. But I think if you can stay at home for the first half of Monday, it's going to make your life a little easier.
All right, we've been warned. Thank you, Gary. We've got Corey standing by with sports.
The Blues honored their new Hall of Famers with an inspired effort tonight against the Capitals. We're going to hear a legendary, painful story from one of those Hall of Famers. And it was more of the same from Mizzou basketball tonight. Stick around. Sports is up next.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
The nice thing about a back-to-back in the NHL is that if you lose that first one, you immediately get a shot at redemption. The Blues certainly made the most of their second game in a row against the Washington Capitals tonight. Special moment for the puck drop. The new Blues Hall of Famers were out there. Keith Tkachuk, Mike Liut, and the family of the late Pavel Demitra. Stop me if you heard this one before. The Blues scored a shorthanded goal. This time it's Colton Parayko with the snipe. It's their 10th shorty of the season. Now on a delayed penalty in the second, it's Braden Shen's turn. The captain lights the lamp, 2-0 Blues. Jordan Binnington looked like his agent Mike Liut tonight. Look at these saves. That included a point-blank stop on Alex Ovechkin. Doesn't get much better than that. Jake Neighbors gets a late goal. Binnington completes a shutout, and the Blues beat the Capitals 3-0.
That was just a tremendous effort, top to bottom. We really bought in, and we played the right way, and we were successful. And I think we understand here that what we're here for is to win and win hockey games, get points, and make playoffs. And tonight is a great example of how we need to play, and just a smooth night.
You saw those Hall of Famers at the beginning of that highlight. I'll spotlight them tomorrow night on Sports Plus, including a sit-down with Keith Tkachuk. All those years as a presence in front of the net, and he never lost a tooth until his final season. Shot from TJ Oshie ricocheted off his mouth and into the net. Here's how Big Walt remembers that moment.
I've never felt pain like that ever in my life, and so I had to deal with that that was about a 2-year process, and that happened in my last year. So I was in the dentist chair and the plastic surgeon chair for 2 years, and I wore a mouth guard. It put a hole through my mouth guard. So I don't recommend that for anybody.
I was going to ask, now your son and Robert Thomas like to skate around with it, hanging out. Do you ever tell them about it?
They're going to learn the hard way. That's the only way you learn, the school of hard knocks.
It has been hard to buy a win for Mizzou basketball lately. In fact, they haven't won a game in 2024 yet. And they were in danger of sinking to 0-5 in the SEC against Florida tonight in Columbia. It's Norm Stewart's birthday. Mizzou has snazzy new gold uniforms. They can't lose tonight, right? No, they were happy that guy wasn't out on the court trying to box him out. That's a big fella. Take a look at how hot Tamar Bates was in this one. Yeah, that hot. He had 36 points, over half of Mizzou's total. Things were still close to start the second half, and Nick Honor 3 actually pulled the Tigers ahead. But then things collapsed pretty fast. The Gators found their stride from deep. Every Florida starter was in double figures, and they pull away. Gators win 79-67 to drop Mizzou to 0-5 in the SEC. How about a great high school girls basketball matchup today? Two of the best in the area, Alton and Bree Central, Highland Tournament Championship. Cougars first. Kylie Rakers into the lane for the bucket, but the Redbirds would explode from beyond the arc. Alyssa Lewis, money. Kaylee Lacey, more money. Lewis again, money again. The Alton faithful go crazy in the stands as the Redbirds win 57-46 for the tourney title. NFL divisional round. C.J. Stroud's Texans ran out of magic against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Lamar ran for 2 touchdowns and threw for 2 touchdowns. Ravens beat the Texans 34-10 to punch their ticket to the AFC Championship game against either Kansas City or Buffalo. And we got to give bragging rights on the desk to Brent.
Yeah.
Gators beat our Tigers
there
tonight.
You go.
So he's got that over
It's great to be a Gator. I can say it right now in this moment.
Yes.
All right, Gary, we want a little warm-up. Can we get that?
We're going to do our best. I think overall the big story for us is going to be Monday. If we can get past Monday from 1 a.m. to about noon, the rest of the week smooth sailing, and it's just going to be wet. We're going to get some beneficial rain, but light freezing drizzle is really going to slow us down in the pre-dawn hours as temps are mostly below freezing. We have this slow glaze of ice. You really have a slow commute, I think, until temps start to warm up, and they can catch up with that. So keep a close eye on that and update you tomorrow.
Something to keep in mind for Monday when you head to work in the morning. All right, that's all of our time at 10. Saturday Night Live is next. We hope you have a great rest of your weekend.